The Limitation of Knowledge in 1984, written by George Orwell. 1984 withholds a great degree of information on the people's, i.e. the greater society's, sentiments on the authoritarian leader, Big Brother. In a quote, Winston, the main character, reflects upon the supporting character Julia's thoughts on rebellion. Any kind of organised revolt against the party, which was bound to be a failure, struck her as stupid. The clever thing was to break the rules and stay alive all the same. Further on, Julia is again quoted alluding to believing that most members of society dislike Big Brother and would happily rebel against the regime, however are being held back by the perceived consequences. The largest group in society, the proles, which make up 90% of the society, are a major part of the story that are not majorly utilised by Orwell. The proletarian part of society are perceived to be unhappy by Winston. However, we don't see whether or not they actually are. Their action, or lack thereof, certainly insinuates that they aren't necessarily disappointed or unhappy. They are, however, poor, and we see this circle of poverty throughout the world. This is hugely reminiscent of refugee camps, where we see few get out and the creation of slum communities. Whilst this can account for the lack of intent from the proles, it does little for the members of the party, whose lives are so strictly monitored, it's hard to believe that they don't feel discontent and rebellious. In all modern society, authoritarian or not, there have been resistance movements. In 1984, there are none. Emmanuel Goldstein and his threat to Oceania are purely metaphysical and his presence metaphorical. This seems illogical and a plot flaw for a story intended to mimic a potentially feasible future. However, I believe it to be intentional, as a way to account for the authoritarian nature of this society. There may be a resistance, but how can our characters know when all they know is the limited knowledge they see and are told?